got gas, oil, transmission fluid, water, and snacks, and we're good to go for a 3-day drive.
Here we go, you better listen. The PPP train riding on a rhythm. We know they're hungry, so we better feed them. Skip the bullshit and give me some Pick up your clapping hands and pay attention. From the Middle East to the open nations, we coming straight to your ear, no complications. As yalla, come on, give me some Here we go, you better listen. The PPP train riding on a rhythm. We know they're hungry, so we better feed them. Skip the bullshit and give me some
Right behind me is this very old grain elevator that's very typical for Saskatchewan. You see them all over the place when you're driving through this province. This one is actually my favorite one. It's, in my opinion, like the coolest one. There's something about it. I was actually here 2 years ago when I was in Saskatoon for the first time. I remember driving by to check it out and I saw that the gates were open and I thought that it was abandoned or something. I thought it was just like a relic from the past. So I kind of sneaked inside and sort of checked it out. It's like really cool inside. There's this chalkboard and all this stuff that's just like kind of remained from the 50s or whatever when it was more operational. This is like really old, looks like out of the 30s, kind of like it's almost like Soviet style or Soviet influenced, like a time capsule, something that's just like frozen in time. Then we met this local farmer who actually told us that it is still being used by the local farmers when they need to process the grain. They're using like durum wheat or something inside, and this grain elevator is not being utilized to the same scale that it did in the past. Like you see the rail tracks, the trains would have come and picked up the grain after it was stored here. So obviously these local farmers, they come, they got access to it, they open it, process, do whatever they need, and then they just pick up the wheat, whatever it is they're processing, and take it to wherever they need to sell it. But yeah, this is definitely the coolest relic on the road between Saskatoon and Calgary. It's in a town called Flexcon. Lior, how does it feel to drive in Canada?
So great. I like those roads. I like to drive in those roads. It's make me feel, you know, alive!
Is it your first time driving in Canada?
No.
But this kind of road, yes.
Okay, if it make you, out of BC. Let's say out of BC.
This is your first time driving outside of BC in a wide open road.
Exactly, okay.
Pick up your clapping hands and pay attention. From the Middle East to the open nations, we coming straight to your ear, no complications. As yalla, come on, give me some give me some
Lior, we're fucked!
We are stuck in the middle of nowhere
On a mountain
with no reception.
Okay, so basically we're on this mountain driving between Creston and Nelson in the Kootenays, and this mountain is a very steep one in the middle of nowhere. There's no towns, no houses, nothing. There's no lights, just forest.
You can see anything because it's really nowhere. No joking, it's nowhere. No, they didn't stop. But the first one really stopped.
So yeah, at some point we're climbing up this steep hill and I'm just giving it, and I could start to smell that the engine was getting hot and it was starting to make this funny sound. So I just pulled over and we turn it off, open the hood, and we see this like smoke coming. Obviously, thank God it was not on fire. Yeah, so we're just waiting for it to cool now, hanging out in this like spot in the middle of nowhere on a mountain. Yeah, so we don't actually need help. There's been a lot of cars that actually stopped and asked if we're all okay, which is like awesome. I love that. But we're letting the engine cool, and we're just gonna add more water later on and we should be fine. But here's the thing, me and Leo are not actually that worried because there's so much traffic up this mountain, even though we're in the middle of nowhere. So I put on my window washing glove, rubber glove, just in case it's like hot. I don't want it boiling on my hand, and we're gonna open up a little bit, let the steam come out. And I think it's probably okay. Doesn't sound like anything hot. But we're gonna check how much water. And so this thing leaks water, so every like couple of days I have to add more. And because I'm a Choani, which means in Hebrew a guy who like doesn't do things right because he's lazy and he just kind of like cuts corners and stuff like that, instead of just fixing it, because I don't want to invest money in this car because, you know, it's the end of her life, instead of fixing it, I just add more water every couple of days. But yeah, she needs it very much. Yeah, man, there's so much water that we need to add. Oh my god. I put in 5 liters. I have more. Okay, so we made it safely to Nelson. We found a cool place to sleep in the car last night, and right now we're going to a cool coffee shop for breakfast. Just doing a little pit stop in an old cowboy town called Greenwood.
Here we go, go, you better listen. The BBB train riding on a rhythm. We know they're hungry, so we better feed them. Skip the bullshit and give me some Pick up your clapping hands and pay attention. From the Middle East to the open nation.
Wow, Fredman, where are we?
So we're in Osoyoos, which is the Okanagan, and this is the 5th geographical climatic region that we've crossed. So we started with the Saskatchewan Prairies, and then the ranchlands of Calgary and Alberta, and then the Rockies, the Kootenays, and now the Okanagan. And what's interesting about this area is that it's super arid and is actually considered a Mediterranean climate, and it really reminds me of Israel, just very yellow grass, and in the summertime it's just super hot here. Bye, van. Love you. So what I do every winter is I keep my van at a family friend's farm an hour and a half outside of Vancouver in the Fraser Valley. This is a very beautiful place with farms and mountains and rivers. And this is a good friend of my dad's, so he lets me keep my van here every winter. And and then I come pick it up in the spring when it's time to go back to the prairies. So I will see you guys in the next season. This is Van Man, signing out.
Pick up your clapping hands and pay attention. From the Middle East to the open nations, we coming straight to your ear, no complications. As you like come out in the summer, here we go, go. You better